All right, so are you ready to bitch that whole tax refund spending spree thing? Let's dive into something way more exciting, like using that refund to maybe launch a business.
Sounds fun.
Right. We're exploring this podcast called Smart Moves, and they're all about turning, like those light bulb moments, those ideas, into actual success. And they have this super intriguing idea about using your tax refund, not just for, something fleeting, but as seed capital, to start a business you're actually passionate about.
Yeah, it really is a refreshing way to look at it. I mean, so often we think of those refunds as just like found money, spend it, But smart moves, they really challenge us to see it as a chance for something bigger, something more,
Mhm.
long-term wealth, maybe even passive income, maybe even a shot at financial freedom.
I love that. It's like instead of, that new gadget that's going to be outdated next year, you could be building something that's yours, something that lasts.
Totally. And one thing that's really interesting is that Smart Moves emphasizes starting debt free. Even a small refund can give you that cushion, that financial cushion, and allow for more control and flexibility, especially in those early stages, when you're first starting out.
Okay, so let's get into it. What kind of businesses are we even talking about here? Can you really get something going with just a tax refund?
You'd be surprised. Smart Moves actually breaks down some pretty practical ideas, and they actually line up with typical refund amounts, which is helpful. So they have them categorized by starting capital. So, for instance, they highlight online businesses. Those you could start with are around, $500 to $2,000.
Okay, what falls into that?
Well, drop shipping is a big one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a retail fulfillment method. Basically, you don't actually keep any products in stock. So when a customer places an order, you purchase the item from a third party and they ship it directly to the customer. So low risk, low overhead. It's a really good way to kind of get your feet wet with e-commerce.
That sounds pretty doable.
Yeah.
What else is in that online business sweet spot?
They talk about setting up an e-commerce store, specialize in something that you're knowledgeable about. They also talk about digital content creation. So that could
Oh,
be, launching a YouTube channel, starting a blog, or even, wait for it, starting your own podcast with that refund.
hold on. Are you suggesting I create a rival podcast
Maybe not a rival.
with my own tax refund? Okay, maybe not a rival. But
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the idea of starting a podcast. I mean, it fits right in with all this
Mm.
this digital content creation stuff. I mean, I've always loved sharing, my ideas and thoughts.
It's definitely worth considering, especially if you're already comfortable in front of a microphone, and if you have a topic that you're really passionate about. And Smart Moves really highlights how accessible these types of businesses have become. The startup costs are so low, and you have a global audience right at your fingertips. You can build a real community around your content.
That's really appealing. But I mean, let's be real, creating engaging content takes a lot of time and effort. It's not exactly a get-rich-quick scheme, is it?
That's true. That's true. But one thing that Smart Moves emphasizes is that you should try to align your business idea with your existing skills and interests. So if you genuinely enjoy, the process, the work feels a lot less like a chore, and it's more like you're pursuing something you really care about.
That makes sense. Okay, so beyond the online world, what other business categories do they suggest?
Yeah. Well, if we bump up the investment ladder a little bit, there's service-based businesses. Those you could get off the ground with, $500 to $3,000. And Smart Moves, they suggest tapping into local needs. So think like cleaning services, landscaping, handyman work, or even tutoring or coaching based on your expertise.
I love that. Tapping into local needs. It's all about like identifying what people need in your community,
Yeah.
right? And then offering a solution.
Exactly. And Smart Moves even mentions event planning,
Mm.
and social media management as options. It's about, using your strengths and looking at the demands of your local market.
You're like a puzzle, right? Finding that perfect fit between your skills, your interests, and then what people are actually willing to pay for.
Exactly. But what if you're not ready to just dive headfirst into launching a full-fledged business?
Yeah.
Smart Moves actually offers an alternative, investing in your skills.
Oh, that's a great point. Sometimes the best investment is in yourself.
Absolutely. So they suggest considering, online courses or certifications. Those can boost your marketability, whether you're, freelancing or looking for a career change.
It's like even if it's not a business, in the traditional sense, you're still investing in your future earning potential.
Exactly. And it can be surprisingly affordable. Smart Moves suggests you can make a real impact with just, $300 to $1,000. That could be buying software or equipment, if you're starting freelance or enrolling in a course that teaches you a new skill. It's all about that initial investment that can pay off later.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of ideas here, but even with the tax refund, we need to be smart about spending, right? What does Smart Moves suggest when it comes to making those financial decisions?
Well, they stress being, strategic, prioritizing those key areas. It's not about buying fancy equipment or, a huge marketing campaign right away.
So what are the essentials? The must-haves versus the nice-to-haves.
Well, first off, they say legal and business setup. So,
Yeah.
Registering your business, getting any licenses you might need, and setting up a basic website. Those are the essentials, the foundational things.
Like building a house, right?
Yeah.
Got to have a solid foundation.
Exactly. And then there's marketing. It's so easy to just think, "Oh, I'll just post on social media and everyone will just, show up."
Yeah.
But Smart Moves, they argue that marketing takes investment. Whether that's branding, ads on social media, or even something as simple as business cards, you got to make sure people know you exist.
Yeah, put yourself out there to
Yeah.
make sure you're visible. What else should we be thinking about when it comes to spending that refund wisely?
Well, tools and equipment, obviously important, for a lot of businesses. But Smart Moves cautions against overspending, especially early on. Focus on what you need to actually operate, not what just looks cool or trendy.
Yeah, I feel that. It's so easy to get caught up in wanting all the latest and greatest stuff, but starting small and then scaling up as your business grows, that's definitely smarter.
And here's something I thought was super insightful. They recommend setting aside some of that refund for an emergency fund.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about starting a business, and you're saying put some of that cash away for a rainy day. That seems kind of counterintuitive.
I know. It seems that way at first, but it's actually a really, really smart strategy. Unexpected costs, they happen.
Yeah.
Especially when you're just starting out. And having that cushion, that financial cushion, can make a huge difference. It could be the difference between, weathering a storm and having to close up shop.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's about, shifting our mindset from just immediate spending to planning ahead. Like we're not just launching a business, we're building a foundation for the long term.
Exactly. It's all about making those smart choices with those refund dollars. But Smart Moves doesn't just focus on what you should do. They also highlight what not to do.
Oh, okay.
They offer some advice to help avoid some of those common pitfalls.
Okay, let's talk about those pitfalls. What are some red flags? We don't want to trip up right out of the gate.
Well, they really emphasize research. Don't just, jump into a cool idea without checking if there's actually a demand for it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But like you might love, I don't know, making hand-knitted sweaters for cats.
Sure.
But is there really a market for that? Are there enough people who want to, pay for a fancy cat sweater?
Exactly. Passion is great, but you need a market for it. And then there's overspending, especially on things that aren't essential. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement and think you need, the best equipment, the most amazing website right away. But Smart Moves, they really stress starting lean and then scaling up as you grow.
Prioritize needs over wants.
Exactly. And then this is a big one. They highlight having a business plan.
Yeah.
Even if it's simple, a one-page document, it makes you think about your goals, your market, your marketing strategy, your finances. It's a roadmap, it keeps you focused.
Instead of just winging it.
Yeah,
You're really thinking things through.
right. And finally, Smart Moves really emphasizes marketing.
Yeah.
Even the best product won't sell if nobody knows about it.
Right.
They encourage entrepreneurs to think of marketing as an investment. Not just a one-time expense.
It's like build it and they will come.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in the business world. You gotta let people know what you're offering.
Exactly. Now I know all this might sound a little daunting, especially if you're new to this whole world, this entrepreneurial world. But Smart Moves doesn't just tell you, the how-tos and the whys. They actually have some really inspiring real-life success stories.
Okay. Let's hear those. It's one thing to talk about it, but seeing real people achieve results, that's motivating.
Absolutely. And these aren't just vague stories. They highlight specific people who started small, just like we're talking about, and they found real success.
Yeah, they mentioned people, who launched those profitable Etsy shops, right?
Yeah.
With just a few $100s
Yeah.
from their tax refund.
Yeah.
And others who built like six-figure consulting businesses from their initial investment.
Mm-hmm.
Proof that it can be done. That's inspiring.
Absolutely. It shows that with the right idea, a little bit of capital and a lot of dedication, you can do amazing things. But Smart Moves reminds us that these success stories, they didn't happen overnight. There were setbacks, there were challenges, and it took a willingness to learn and adapt.
So it's about the journey, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that there's going to be ups and downs, but focusing on the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that brings us to the central question that Smart Moves poses. What will you do with your tax refund this year?
It really is decision time, isn't it? Is this the year you break free from that spending cycle and you take a chance? You invest in your own potential.
It's a big decision, but Smart Moves has definitely given us a lot to think about. They've given us a roadmap, a framework for approaching this decision with, excitement and a healthy dose of realism.
They've given us the tools, they've given us the inspiration, but, the choice is yours. What will your tax refund story be?
I think that's a great question. I'm excited to dig a little deeper and explore some more specific advice and strategies from Smart Moves that can help turn that refund into a real game changer.
Right. Let's do it. So it's like decision time, right?
Mm.
Are we going to blow this refund on something, or are we going to be smart and actually, invest it in our future?
Yeah, I mean, Smart Moves really pushes us to think about it that way as an investment, instead of just that instant gratification.
Yeah, and what I really like about Smart Moves is that they don't just give you those vague ideas.
You're right.
They actually give you concrete examples and advice, and those success stories, it really shows that it's possible,
Absolutely. And one thing that stood out to me was their advice about those early stages, starting a business. They say to test your ideas first, before going all in.
You mean like don't quit your job and put all your money into your first idea?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Start small. They suggest starting with what they call a minimum viable product. It's basically like a stripped-down version of your product or service that you can get feedback on from potential customers.
So instead of spending months trying to perfect everything, you put out a basic version and see what people think.
Exactly. It lets you validate your idea, get feedback, and then make it better before you invest, tons of time and money.
That's smart.
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's all about being flexible and, adapting and learning as you go.
Yeah.
Did Smart Moves give any examples of how to create one of these minimum viable products?
Yeah, they did. So for a product, it could be something as simple as making a prototype, or a small batch to test at like a local market or something.
Okay.
For a service, it could be offering a few, consultations or workshops just to gauge interest.
So it's just about being creative and getting your idea out there without spending a ton.
Exactly. Smart Moves encourages being resourceful, especially in those early stages. There are so many online platforms and tools out there that you can use to get started without spending a fortune.
Oh yeah. Like what are some examples?
Well, there are free website builders, social media scheduling tools, email marketing platforms, even some accounting software has free trials. It's just about being smart and stretching that budget.
Oh, that's a good point.
Okay.
Especially for those of us who are just starting out. We don't have a lot of extra cash. Did Smart Moves say anything about networking? Because I've heard that's really important for entrepreneurs, building those relationships.
Yeah, they did. They talk about connecting with other entrepreneurs, especially those who are maybe a little bit ahead of you in the journey. Joining online communities, going to local events, maybe even finding a mentor. Those relationships with people who understand the challenges and the wins of running a business, they can be so valuable.
It's like finding your people, right?
Yeah.
The ones who get it.
Yeah.
Who can support you, give you advice, and maybe even be there for you when things are rough.
Totally. And they can have, insights and connections that you might not have on your own. Smart Moves even suggests, reaching out to successful entrepreneurs in your field and just asking for an informational interview. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to share their knowledge and experiences.
Oh, wow. That's really encouraging. So it's not just about the idea, and the business plan. It's also about building that support system.
Yeah, absolutely. And Smart Moves reminds us that success takes time. Building a lasting business, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Not one of those get rich quick schemes.
Oh, no. It's about consistency, those small steps every day, every week.
So true.
And they say to celebrate the small wins along the way. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and forget to acknowledge your progress. But celebrating those milestones, no matter how small they are, it can really help you stay motivated.
Yeah, I love that. High five yourself for every milestone, every hurdle you overcome.
Exactly. Did Smart Moves give any specific examples of what kind of small wins we should be celebrating?
Yeah, like what kind of things are we talking about here?
Well, it could be something as simple as launching your website, getting your first customer, or even just finishing a task that you've been putting off. It's just about recognizing your progress and giving yourself credit for the work that you're putting in.
I mean, it's so easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day and just forget to see how far you've come. But Smart Moves reminds us that those small wins, they add up to something big over time.
Totally. And they highlight the importance of having a growth mindset, which is really important for being an entrepreneur.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What exactly is a growth mindset, and how do we get one?
Well, it's about seeing challenges as opportunities to learn and grow, not just as obstacles to avoid. It's about being open to feedback, even if it's not what you want to hear, and then using it to make things better.
Okay.
And it's about, accepting failure, not as defeat, but as a chance to learn.
So instead of like beating yourself up when things go wrong,
Yeah.
you look at it as a chance to learn and come back stronger.
Yeah, exactly. They even shared this quote in Smart Moves. It was from a successful entrepreneur. And they said, every failure is just a stepping stone to success. It's all about changing your perspective and seeing those setbacks as valuable information that can help you, make better decisions in the future.
That's a really powerful way to look at it. It's not the end of the world. It's just a detour. Did Smart Moves have any other advice about staying motivated and resilient, especially when things get tough?
Yeah, they did. They talk about focusing on your why. Why are you doing this? What's driving you? What impact do you want to make?
Connecting to that deeper purpose, that passion that keeps you going, even when it's hard.
Exactly. And they remind us that success isn't just about, the money.
Right.
It's about personal fulfillment. It's about, making a difference and living a life that reflects your values.
I love that. The refund is just the seed. But what you grow from it, it's up to you. It can be financial independence. It could be a fulfilling career doing something that you truly love. It could even be the chance to make a difference in your community.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it. It starts with that one decision to invest in yourself and your dreams.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into Smart Moves, let's leave our listeners with a question to think about. If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of financial advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good one. I think I would tell my younger self to be more curious, to ask more questions, and to not be afraid to explore different paths,
I love that. Embrace the curiosity. Never stop learning. I think I would add, don't underestimate the power of those small, consistent actions. It's the daily habits, those little things you do consistently that lead to big results.
Yeah, totally. It's about having that long-term vision and sticking with your goals, even when things feel slow.
Well said.
Oh, true.
Okay, that's it for this part of our deep dive into turning your tax refund into a business. We hope you found it insightful, maybe even inspiring, and maybe even a little bit life-changing.
Yeah.
But remember, the journey, it starts with a single step. So what will yours be? All right, so we've talked about, those ideas, those mindset shifts, but let's get into like the nitty-gritty. What are some actual things Smart Moves suggest we can do to make those first steps a little less scary?
Well, one thing they really push is being resourceful.
Mm.
especially when it comes to marketing. You don't need a huge budget to get started. They talk about using social media, building an email list, even teaming up with other businesses to do like cross promotion.
Oh, yeah, collaborations. Like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, and we both win. Did they give any examples of that?
Yeah. They talked about this bakery owner who partnered with a local florist.
Oh,
So
nice.
the bakery would include like flyers for the florist with every order, and the florist would put some of the bakery's treats in their shop. Simple but effective.
That's really smart. It's about, finding those win-win situations. You support each other, and you both reach more people without spending a ton of money.
Exactly. And they also talk about customer service. It sounds obvious, but with all the online reviews and social media these days, word of mouth is huge.
Yeah, it's not just about getting people in the door, right? It's about
Yeah.
making sure they have a good experience and they want to tell their friends.
Right. Smart Moves reminds us that happy customers, they're your best, they're your best ads. They'll be the ones talking you up and recommending you to everyone they know.
So true. Okay, so we've got the marketing stuff. What about the legal and the financial side of things? Because that can be pretty overwhelming for new business owners.
Yeah, Smart Moves acknowledges that those parts can be intimidating, but they
Yeah.
they break it down into, easier steps. So first, they say choose the right legal structure, like whether that's a sole proprietorship, a partnership, LLC, or a corporation.
Okay, but all that legal stuff, it kind of makes my head spin. How do you even know which one to choose?
Well, Smart Moves suggests talking to a lawyer or an accountant who knows about small businesses. They can help you figure out what each one means and which one is best for you and your
So
goals.
it's worth, getting some advice from the pros early on to make sure
Yeah.
you're setting things up, the right way.
Totally, totally. And they also say to set up a separate bank account for your business.
Oh,
It
okay.
makes it much easier to keep track of your income and expenses, which is really important for managing your money and doing your taxes.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how those initial investments, even if they're not, super exciting, they're important for setting yourself up for success.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about building that strong foundation that can support you as you grow. Now, Smart Moves also had some interesting thoughts about pricing, how to price your products and
Oh
services.
yeah, yeah. That's a big one. How do you find that sweet spot, where you're charging enough to actually make a profit, but not so much that you're scaring people away?
It's a balancing act for sure. They suggest researching your competitors, see what they're charging, and understanding what your target market is willing to pay,
Mhm.
and factoring in all your costs. Not just the materials or whatever, but your time, your overhead, and marketing.
So it's more than just picking a random number, right? It's
Right.
strategic.
Exactly. And they warn against, undercharging. It's something a lot of new business owners do. You got to price things in a way that shows their value and allows you to actually make a living to build a business that's sustainable.
It's about respecting your worth,
Mm,
your time and your skills.
exactly. Exactly. And they also remind us that pricing isn't fixed. You can adjust as your business grows, as you get more experience, as the market
Got
changes.
to be flexible.
Yeah. And they encourage business owners to keep learning and growing, whether that's, reading books, taking workshops, or connecting with mentors. Investing in yourself is really important.
Yeah, it's all about that growth mindset, right? Never stop learning.
Exactly. And Smart Moves reminds us that success is a journey, not a destination. There will
Yeah.
be bumps in the road, there will be challenges, but those are the things that teach us and make us stronger.
It's about embracing the whole experience.
hmm And they also say to stay connected to your why. Why are you doing this? What impact do you want to have? Remembering that can be really powerful, especially when things get tough.
Yeah, it's like that initial spark, that
Mhm.
passion that got you started that can keep you going when things get hard.
Exactly. And they encourage entrepreneurs to celebrate their wins, even the small ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Acknowledge what you've accomplished, give yourself some credit, be proud of what you've done.
Got to take the time to celebrate those little victories, right?
Yeah,
Because it can be a roller coaster.
totally. And finally, Smart Moves reminds us that success looks different for everyone. There's no one right way to do it.
So it's not just about building a huge company. It's about figuring out what success means to you
Mm.
and going for it.
Exactly. Whether that's, financial independence or having the freedom to work from anywhere or just creating something that you're proud of, that aligns with your values and makes you happy. Success it's a personal journey.
That's a really great message. It's about taking control and creating the life you want.
Exactly. And Smart Moves, they've given us the tools and the inspiration to do that.
They really have. I mean, they've broken down this whole process, which seems really complicated, into these steps that we can actually take,
Yeah.
They've given us advice and they've reminded us that success is possible, even if you're starting with just a tax refund.
Absolutely. They've definitely given us a lot to think about.
Yeah, they have. So as we wrap up our deep dive, let's challenge our listeners to think about their own tax refund story. What dreams are you ready to invest in? What steps can you take today to turn that refund into something really meaningful?
It starts with a decision, a choice to see the possibilities and create the future that you want.
And we're here to support you along the way. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. And remember, you have the power to shape your future.